Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Without a doubt, one of the strongest metas in Warzone right now is the sniping meta. We've seen so many general TTK reductions over the course of the past couple of updates, and none of that has really affected the sniping meta all that much. Obviously, the TTK when it comes to snipers is all over the place. If you're hitting headshots, most of the time it's a one-shot kill or a one-shot down, which obviously makes them extremely beneficial to use if weapons like the main rifles or LMGs are taking 600, 700, 800 plus milliseconds to knock a player, especially over that ideal sniper range. So with that said, the sniping meta right now is extremely optimal if you're an accurate player. And something I'm seeing so many different people ask in the comments or over on Twitter, wherever it might be, is what are the go-to sniper support meta loadouts? What are the best sniper support options alongside the best sniping loadouts? So today we're sort of breaking down all that, the top 5 best sniper support weapons and setups to be using. So as we go through everything, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to do so. That way you can always stay up to date with everything going on in COD, news, intel, updates, loadouts, tips. It is all right here every single day. Also, gotta give a shout out to Gamer Advantage. You guys seen me wearing the glasses in every single face cam video. I wear these things all day, every day, and I highly recommend that if you're someone who is always looking at screens, whether you're, studying for school, playing games, editing videos, just browsing the internet, whatever it may be, if you're looking at screens for a long period of time, Gamer Advantage is for you. Blue light glasses, my friends, are the wave, and Gamer Advantage does them the best. So if you want to pick up a pair for yourself, they offer regular and prescription lenses, and code WhosImmortal gets you a discounted checkout. Now, real quick, first and foremost, obviously we're talking about sniper support loadouts, but what about the actual snipers themselves? I wanted to run through like the 2 main sniper setups and sniper loadouts that most players are running right now, and the ones that I'd recommend the most. The 2 weapons, pretty basic, the Swiss and the CAR, 2 of the most popular weapons in all of Warzone, and the setups are pretty straightforward. Nothing's really changed with these in quite some time. For the Swiss here, though, we're going for the Groove Suppressor. Obviously, we want that better velocity and better range, and it's just super ideal that it keeps us off the map as well. We also go for the Combat Recon Barrel. This is going to help out the most when it comes to the best velocity and range combined. So those 2 combined, really give you some nice benefits there. Now on Cold War snipers, using the 5mm laser basically is like using the TAC laser on some of the MW snipers, which is a super ideal attachment. So you got to go ahead and rock that on there as well. I personally like the base, sniper scope and optic here on the Swiss, so I don't change anything up there. Instead, I'm going to go for the bruiser grip and get some better movement speed and aiming stability out of that. Then finally, I go ahead and I also rock the airborne elastic wrap and get some better ADS time out of that. Makes that a bit more snappy, better for close range, medium range, long range, wherever you might be. You want that faster ADS. Obviously, you want optimal movement and you want the best range possible. And this setup here is pretty much the best of all worlds. And then when it comes to the CAR, again, pretty basic setup here just because we haven't seen this really change ever since Warzone really launched, in all honesty. We're going for, obviously, the monolithic suppressor for the same reasons as the Groove Suppressor. We got to go for the 27.6-inch barrel, the longest barrel in this case. Just makes the most sense to get that best range and velocity. TAC laser, like I said, is a must-have on the MW snipes for that better ADS speed. It also helps out with the stability as well, which is a nice bonus. In this case, on the CAR, you have to use an optic because the iron sights just aren't it. Most players will go ahead and use the sniper scope. However, the variable zoom scope is also something that a lot of players will flock to as well. Just sort of comes down to personal preference there. I'm more of a sniper scope fan myself. I also go ahead and throw on the cross-thread reticle as well. I just like the look of that. It's nice and clean, easy to track targets with that. Then finally, I also go for the sport comb stock. This helps out with that better ADS speed, gives you a little bit more snappiness in that regard. But now let's focus on the main topic of this video, the sniper support loadouts, what you want to be using with your sniper setups that's going to complement them the most for obviously close and medium range. The first weapon here is going to be the PPSH. This thing has one of the best TTKs when it comes to SMGs. It also has surprisingly good range, which is just the best of both worlds in all reality. It also has low recoil, great magazine size, good velocity, like all around. The PPSH right now in the current meta is a very optimal weapon to be using. And obviously the setup here is going to try and complement that sniper the most, but curiously enough, it's actually like the main SMG loadout that you want to be using for the PPSH as is, just because with most SMGs, you're trying to build them out to be the most beneficial for close range fights, and sniper support sort of encompasses that, meaning you're going to be able to use this as a complement to pretty much any weapon in the game, but specifically for sniper support, it's going to work extremely well. Groove Suppressor, Task Force, and Tiger Team is a great start off here. You're getting the best range and velocity possible between Groove and Task Force. Tiger Team is going to help out with your mobility, which you love to see. We go for the 71 round drum in this case because it doesn't really hurt your movement all that much, but 71 rounds is just so much fun to run around with. Then finally, you also go for the Raider stock as well, get some better mobility out of that. Now, arguably the best sniper support option in the game is going to be the Cold War AK-47. The power this thing has up close is honestly unmatched. It has that perfect combination of absolutely incredible power and great range, meaning that from about 1 to 40-ish meters, this thing's TTK is unreal. It is so good. Obviously, it's not the easiest weapon to use in the world. It does have some recoil that you got to get used to, but after that, this thing is going to beam. And when you pair this with a Swiss or a car, you have an incredibly versatile and incredibly dominant loadout. Because we are focused on close range here, primarily we're going for the regular suppressor. That snappiness on the ADS is super ideal. You do get some better velocity as well, which is also pretty nice. I don't go for a barrel in this case. It's really not that needed, really, when it comes down to it. There is some recoil, but really anything that's going to help out with recoil in this case, like the Liberator, like the RPK, it's also going to hurt your mobility some as well. So I just don't feel like it's super necessary. Instead, we're going to go for the Tiger Team Spotlight, just like over on the PPSH. It's going to help out there. You do go for the Spetsnaz grip, in my opinion, to help out with that recoil, smooth it out some, and just make it a bit easier to land shots on target. The 45 round mag, I feel like, is totally sufficient, especially for close and medium range fights. Anything bigger than that, like 60, is going to slow you down a bit too much. And then personally, I feel like for specifically medium range fights, that iron sight's just not going to do it. So I go ahead and I use the Microflex LED. It just makes it a bit easier to stay on target when you are getting into 30, 40 meter ranged fights and beyond. If you're not using a sniper in that case, that Microflex will help out there. Now, one of the most underrated SMGs in the game that absolutely is one of the best sniper support options is the MP7. This thing is not the most popular sub. Most people don't use it because it doesn't have the mobility of the OTS, of the MP5s. But when it comes to sniper support, this thing has incredible range for an SMG. We just talked about this a few days back, actually. Its TTK is very impressive at all ranges. It has next to no recoil, like all around. You cannot go wrong with the MP7, and especially as we've seen the overall TTK for other SMGs lowered, the MP7 has really risen in overall efficiency just because now it can hang a lot more with some of the other top subs. And like I said, it specifically is great as a hybrid sub for close and medium range. The setup here is going to be pretty straightforward. Obviously, we want the monolithic suppressor for that increased range and to keep us off the minimap. The recon barrel is the longest option in this case, which gives us the best range and velocity, and the control as well as a nice added bonus. I also like to go for the tac laser here instead of an underbarrel because the recoil is so straightforward. Getting that better ADS is actually a pretty big deal. I also go for the 50 round mags. You could go for 60, either or, it doesn't really matter. If you're okay with being a little bit slower, 60 totally works, but I like to go for 50. Then lastly, I also go for the stipple grip tape as well, just to get some more snappiness on the ADS and also a better sprint to fire. Now next up, we've got the XM4. This is especially good for close and medium range. It's a Cold War rifle, so its mobility really isn't all that bad, and we can actually help it out with some of the attachments. And when it comes to the damage, this thing's TTK is very, very good, specifically for like 0 to 40 meter ranged fights, just like the Cold War AK. So when it comes to sniper support, there aren't many weapons that are better than this as a complement to the Swiss and to the car and other snipers in the game as well. Very, very fun weapon to use. It does have a bit more recoil as of late just because of some of the nerfs that it's received, but for some of those closer ranged fights, recoil really is not a huge concern just because the targets are physically bigger and easier to stay on target with and to track. So once again, we're going to go for the basic suppressor here, just like over on the AK. You could go for agency in this case, but I just don't feel like it's necessary with the slowdowns you're going to get because of that. As far as the barrel goes, in this case, I probably would run the Ranger. I wouldn't recommend Task Force because obviously you get all those cons with the Task Force on there, whereas Ranger is not nearly as severe. It's just an ADS movement speed decrease and then also the hip fire accuracy decrease, but you are getting better control and better velocity, so that's actually pretty helpful. I once again do go for the Tiger Team Spotlight. We love that better mobility here. Super convenient to have, especially on a rifle, which is not going to be as fast as a sub, of course. I also go for the Microflex LED once more. Then finally, I'm going to go ahead and rock the 45 round mag. If you really were struggling with the recoil for whatever reason, I'd probably recommend dropping the Tiger Team and adding on the Field Agent. But honestly, like I said, for 0 to 30, 35 meter range fights, recoil really is not that much of a hindrance in my opinion. So you can forego an underbarrel and have a very solid sniper support build here. And then finally, we've got the EM2, which is probably the hardest to use out of all the sniper support options that we've covered in this video. But it also is one of the most rewarding simply because this thing fries, plain and simple. Its damage is unreal, but it does have some slower mobility and, a bit more noticeable recoil and visual recoil, especially with the bounce, which makes it a little bit harder to use. But if you can master it, this is a higher risk, very high reward weapon that absolutely is great as a sniper complement just because of how good its TTK is from about 0 to 40 or 45 meters. Very, very similar to the AK in this case, but like I said, it does have its complications, and for that reason, I like to go for the agency suppressor on this weapon specifically because of that added recoil control that's actually a pretty big deal in this case. As far as the barrel goes, definitely no to the task force. This weapon's already slow enough, so Ranger is going to be sufficient for what we need it to be. It's going to help out with the control once again, which is a big pro to have on there. You definitely have to have field agent in this case because, like I said, that recoil is just a little bit obnoxious. I also go for the 40 round mag. You could try 50 or even the 45 fast, but it's going to slow you down a little bit too much for my liking, so I feel like 40 works out pretty well. Then lastly, you can go for pretty much any optic here you want. Obviously, Microflex LED is going to be that prime choice for close and medium range fights, but you could even try the 3 times or even the 2 times and see how it works for you and see if you like those a little bit more. But for me, this is going to be my go-to specifically for a sniper support build. But yeah, with that being said, those are the top 5 sniper support options and the best sniper loadouts to be using in Warzone right now, in my opinion. That's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to do so. That way you can always stay up to date with absolutely everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I will catch you guys later. Peace out.